licensed contractor in the state of California, there's 4 things to consider. Number 1, you must be 18 years of age, or 18 years old. Okay, 18 years old. Number 2, you must have a valid Social Security number. Okay. Number 3, you must have 4 years of experience. And that experience must be at a journeyman level. And we'll talk about what a journeyman level is later on. But again, at journeyman level. Journeyman level. Okay? Number 4, that experience in the journeyman level must be within the last 10 years. The experience must be within the last 10 years. Which means if you've been in the construction or out of the construction field for, say, 20 years, well, that experience that you had 20 years ago and you hadn't renewed any license is invalid. So basically that experience you have to have within the last 10 years. Now, if you do not have this experience and you want to be in the business, we have to get what is called, we have to be represented by what we call a qualifier. And again, we'll go into qualifier. We'll go into what entails a qualifier later on, okay? But anyway, those 4 items basically have to be covered in order to become a licensed contractor in the state of California, okay? Let's talk a little bit of what's exempted here, okay? In the exemption, say you basically don't want to get a license, or you're working without a license. These are some exemptions that you have, okay? Number 1, any work that you do that is valued at less than $500, including labor and material, you are not required to have a contractor's license. Okay? Now, a lot of people try to play with that rule a little bit. They say they take a bigger job and then they say, okay, I'll just bill it in $500 increments. Wrong. That's illegal. The entire project has to be less than $500. Basically, labor and material, whatever that value of job is. So if you're doing that, if you're splitting up jobs into 500, you are working illegally with an unlicensed contractor. Also, if you don't need a license, number 2 is an employee. If you work for somebody, obviously you collect a wage. You're working for, hopefully the person you're working for obviously has a contractor's license, but you're an employee, so therefore you don't need a contractor's license for that. Also, public workers, public personnels, public workers working on public jobs, okay? Be careful with this, because there are some public workers out there that say, oh, I work for the public, I work for the city, I work for the county, so therefore I can go off and do jobs on my own because I'm a public worker. No, the idea that you're working for public jobs, that's where you don't need a license. If you're doing jobs on your own, even if you're a public worker, you're still required to have a contractor's license, okay? Another areas is public utilities companies in specific conditions as well. Not required to have basically a contractor's license. Another big area that we use is owner-builder. I know you've probably heard the term owner-builder. Okay, if you're an owner of your own house and you're doing a construction work on your house, yes, you do not need a contractor's license to get that. However, the new rule that they put in recently in a few years is that that house cannot be sold. You cannot get out of that house for a year. Okay, and that's one of the rules that they put in place in there. Okay, so in that case,